Hi, I'm Rebecca Keat. I am the head coach for Team Sirius Tri Club, along with my amazing wife, Siri Lindley. I live in California in the US, but I grew up on the Gold Coast and trained here for about 15 years. Had some awesome results in the sport of triathlon. Was very good to me, winning 2 junior world titles, won 3 Australian titles. Broke the world record twice in Ironman debut and once in Challenge Roth in 8 hours 39 minutes back in 2009, and I won 6 iron distance championship races, and I think I won about 30 half Ironmans. I kind of lost count. I've lost count of how many, but I'm very happily retired, and we run a horse rescue in California. We rescue horses from abuse, slaughter and neglect, and that's my big why. Hey, I'm Rebecca Keat. I grew up playing lots of different sports that led me to the sport of triathlon. I have an identical twin sister that used to push me. She was better than me at everything until I discovered ball sports, and I did basketball. And one day I went up for a layup. I came down, cracked my ankle, tore every ligament, and I just started doing triathlon. And my dad said, triathlon or basketball? And I chose triathlon because I'm not a team player. Although I am now, I wasn't then. So that's how I got into the sport. I did basketball, netball, soccer, and then school sport. They had triathlon one time, and I just fell in love with cycling and did my first aquathon when I was about 15, 16, and won my first junior world title when I was 18 years old. So growing up, I want to thank my Aubrey High School sports teacher, Barry Overs. He let me use his bike, which was way too big for me. I never forget clicking into the pedals and having no idea how to get out. We were all beginners at one stage, right? And I crashed at the first set of traffic lights, fell out, hurt myself. I think I pulled myself at the same time. And but I want to thank him. He got me into the sport. Then I had an awesome, amazing mentor in Michael Ursu, I think he was from Romania. He was a Romanian swim coach, and he really taught me what pain was. I remember him grinding his knuckles down the wall at the swimming pool, and he said, "You don't know what pain is. This is pain." And his knuckles bled, and then he just had me doing like 100 hundreds butterfly that day. That was just brutal. And then I moved on from Aubrey. He really taught me how to suffer, and the way to get results was to just really work really, really hard and make every single day count. And then I moved on to, who did I move on to? I had like the Australian head coach. I think I moved right into Brett Sutton after that. Wow, we all know how tough that guy is, but he definitely helped develop me as a mature athlete from about 24, 25 years old till I was about 32. Won multiple half Ironmans under him, got the world record in Roth, 8 hours 39 in 2009, and then my body started to break down in 2012, and I was lucky enough to find the love of my life, which I didn't know at the time she was going to be, but I kind of begged Siri Lindley to coach me, and she's a former 2-time world champion, but at the time she was coaching Mirinda Carfrae, a 4-time world champion, Leander Cave, a multiple world champion, and quite a few other high-profile athletes, Luke McKenzie, and I kind of had to beg her to coach me, and man, that was a tough time because we were all really competitive and we just pushed ourselves every single day and had some more great results. I think Challenge Shepherd and I won 5 times, and that was all mostly under Siri. Fell in love with her within 2 weeks, and the rest is history. We got married in 2015 and been married for 9 years, so she was the last coach that I had, and obviously my favorite, being the love of my life. Different relationship as a coach athlete than it was to a personal relationship, but yeah, it was nice to go out on top with someone like that, with your partner, and celebrate my last race with her. It's actually Challenge Shepherd and was my last race, so yeah. So my first big win would have been, crazy enough, I happened to win the world title, but I qualified as a 4th Aussie for the Australian team, and I wasn't really expected to come away with the win. There was Nicole Hackett, a couple of other amazing, iconic athletes that you'll remember. It was 1996, it was Cleveland, Ohio, and the swim was where I really needed to have a good swim to get out in front, and I somehow managed to have an amazing swim and was leading the bike, and then I really never looked back after that. I got off onto the run, and I was in 3rd place in the under 23s, and I was only 17 years old. And I knew I either had a gold, a silver, or a bronze, but we raced with the under 23, so we left at the same time. So I didn't know till after I crossed the line that I won the gold, because the 2 girls in front of me were under 23s, and I think the next junior was 6 minutes behind her or so. So that was kind of like, whoa, this sport's meant to be for me. And my wife, Siri, actually raced pro. We joked about this. We had almost identical splits in that race. So she got like top 30 in the pros that year. And we went back and looked at our swim, bike and run times. I think I ran like 37 or something for 10K, which back then when you didn't have the fancy bikes, I think I rode 104 or something, and we didn't have all that fancy stuff back then. So all the Nike carbon things in the shoes, no, we didn't have any of that. So it's pretty cool. We looked at that the other day. Okay, so then I moved up to the Gold Coast in 2001, and I was fortunate enough to train with the legend Cole Stewart, his son Miles Stewart, who is an amazing athlete. And man, he's a tough coach too. And he said, I think you should do the half Ironman. And I really didn't want to do it. I was like, oh God, that's so far. It's like a 4.5 hour race. But he goes, no, you're doing it. So he sent me to Cairns. I did my first ever half Ironman. Joanne King, who was a former world champion at that time, she'd won that year. Somehow I beat her, and I beat Rena Hill, if you guys know those legends' names. I somehow beat them both with this junior coming through. I think I was still like 22, 23. And I somehow beat them and I won, and my time was not too bad. It was like 4:25 or something back then in my first one, and Cole's like, this is your calling, you're found your calling, you're doing halves. So I have to thank Cole for that, because I don't know that I would have ever moved to the half Ironman distance if it wasn't for Cole Stewart. And man, we had a great training squad. We had like Shane Reed, Matt Reed, we had Miles Stewart. God, we have some big names there, and people would rock up, like you'd have Chippy Slater come in and Loch Bulmer House and all the guys. It was fun. It was heaps fun. So then from Cole, I went across to Europe and started training with Brett Sutton. Everybody knows who he is. He's known as the hardest coach in the entire world, and it's definitely true. The first day I got there, I never forget, we ran like 30K up the mountain or something crazy like that. Siri Lindley, my wife, has the same story. And just some epic sessions that he would do. Like I thought I'd trained the hardest I could in my life. I had never trained that hard. And I mean, we were doing sessions like every week. We would do 3800s on the track. We'd have to come in under 3 minutes, and we'd do a 200 float and like leave on the 4:15 cycle per K. And we do 30 of them, 3800s, just 32K track session every single week, just about. God, it made the 3-hour marathon seem easy though. We would swim 5 to 7K every single day. We'd do double runs. I never forget, we did a 52K track session, all at under 3:45-minute K pace. I blew my calf the last 200. I tried to break 30 seconds after like a 52K set. Blew my calf muscle in Thailand from the heat and humidity, and from there I just had constant injuries, to be honest. I'll never forget that day, because I was limping off the track and Brett pushed me through it. That was something he did like to do. He'd like to push you through your injuries, and I don't know that was the smartest decision. I probably put it up for myself a little bit more, but when you're under Brett, you just do what you're told. Those calf injuries just kept coming. I just kept tearing my calf constantly after that. I'd had some amazing wins under him. I won multiple 70.3s in Europe. As I said, I won Roth. I got second at Roth to Chrissy Wellington 3 times and broke 9 hours every time. But I remember that calf tear in Thailand, and that was kind of more towards the end of my career. I was like, yeah, these legs can't handle these Ks anymore. I've been doing it already for over 20 years, and my body just started to break down. So that's when I found Siri. So in 2012, I begged Siri Lindley to coach me. She was already coaching Marina Carfrae, Leander Cave, some amazing top pro women, and she finally said yes. And honestly, within 2 weeks, I fell in love with her, and I sort of never looked back since then. But Siri definitely did coach as hard as sessions as Brett. We did some incredibly hard sessions, but it was very, very different. The motivation wasn't out of fear or anger or pushing that physical pain more so than that was very painful. She had a different approach mentally, and she tried to make it fun even though we'd be suffering. She tried to make it fun and enjoyable and include a lot of variety, and just her positive energy just like was contagious throughout the squad. And we had amazing teammates, and it brought the love back to the sport for me, because I'd started to really hate the sport. With Brett, my body was just so exhausted and breaking down, and with Siri it just brought a new refreshing feel to the sport, and I stayed in the sport for another 4 years with her, and probably my happiest times and some of my funnest times traveling and racing with Siri and some of the girls. She had obviously Marina Carfrae She had Landy Cave. She coached a silver medalist, an Olympic bronze medalist, Loretta Harrop. Susan Williams was silver, and I think she's now won over 13 World Championship titles with her athletes, 2 Olympic medals. She just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. I'm bragging because I love my wife, but definitely fun times, brought the joy back to the sport. And she tends to do that with a lot of athletes that are thinking of retiring. They often go to Siri and they have that second wind, and it's always good to go out on a high like that. So I decided in 2016, I'd won Challenge Shepparton 70.3. I actually decided, I just remember then, Mark, that I went into do another Cairns Ironman, and my body it sort of tore my calf a little before the race, and I remember getting off the bike with the leaders, and within 3K my calf was just completely torn, and I just, not that long before won the half Ironman in Shepparton, and I thought I could pull the pin and just pull out of the race, but I decided to walk and jog and pop ibuprofen the whole run and vomit the whole way through so I could actually finish, because nothing worse than pulling out of a race. It's a lot easier to pull out, but it's a lot harder to deal with, pulling out of a race than it is finishing, and there was some pride in doing that. I just wanted to make sure I finished. I remember Pete Murray getting me down the finish line. You could see the tears, and I knew that was my last day, but I was happy to get over the finish line. I said, I'm done. And I really didn't fully retire it or come to terms with it until my wife, this is a really funny story, she literally dragged me to Tony Robbins, and that guy's become a really, really dear friend. My wife speaks on his stage, but she said, have you heard of Tony Robbins? And I was like, who is that? And my sister said, he's the guru, and he hates being called that, but he really is. He's like more than just a life coach. He's just an inspiration to many, and he basically has raised $1 billion to feed 1 billion meals to Americans right now, to the homeless. He's that sort of a guy. He's very philanthropic. He's a huge donor to our non-profit Rescuing Horses. And anyway, I didn't know who he was. I looked him up and I thought, oh, who is this guy? I drink the Kool-Aid. What are these people doing? I said, I'm not going to this event, Siri. She dragged me there, and they're all high-fiving, and I'm just actually quite introverted, to be honest, and I really didn't like the whole high-fiving and touching. I'm not a touchy person, and everyone's high-fiving and dancing, and I thought, oh, this is not for me. And then day 2, I was like, there's some good work being done here, good personal development stuff that I probably need. So I started to do the exercises. By day 3, I was pretty convinced. By day 4, I'd signed up to the next event. And just realized, really, he hates me, the term guru, but he really is the master when it comes to personal growth, and just finding that deep inner why as to your why. Like, what's your life about? What's your purpose? What's your legacy? And I realized that triathlon didn't define me. It was my identity for a long time, but it didn't define me. And I knew I wanted to always work with animals. My wife and I are obsessed with animals, and we literally started, we wanted a non-profit and a for-profit, because we said, how can we fund our non-profit if we don't have a for-profit business? And I wasn't racing. I decided to retire that day at the event, and so we created Team Sirius Tri Club, and we had like 120 members within the first year, and now we've actually pivoted to a fitness group now, but we still have several hundred members. We're still ticking along selling programs, and I still have a lot of members and a lot of people that we're helping. Personally, I have just 10 athletes I'm coaching now. We have 5 or 6 coaches under us, but we really moved into more fitness to help people with their general fitness. But yeah, basically moved into that, and we created our non-profit at the same time. And our non-profit is Believe Ranch and Rescue. It's a 501c3. We rescue horses from slaughter, abuse, and neglect. And our for-profits, both, my wife speaks all around the world, and our for-profit really funds our non-profit. So that's about why. Saving animals. We started rescuing horses. We've saved 300 horses from slaughter. We also, funnily enough, you have an Aussie who's passing federal legislation in DC, and so Siri and I have been to DC quite a few times, to Capitol Hill, working on ending horse slaughter in the US and the shipment of their horses to slaughter. Right now, we got it further than anyone's ever gotten it in 20 years. So we got the bill to a full markup committee and ag committee, and then it didn't go through, but we're still working with some amazing horse advocates on the bill to try to get this bill through legislatively and end slaughter altogether. So that's really my big why. And we've got 22 babies right now in San Ynez in California that we take care of, a lot of seniors, and we just love them. It's just so rewarding, so beautiful, and they go on to heal humans. And we run equine therapy, and my wife facilitates it, and our horses that have been saved by humans and go on to heal humans. So it's pretty powerful, and I did not think that I would be doing that when I was here training on the Gold Coast. I did not think that's what I would be doing, but I couldn't think of anything better. So yeah, the Gold Coast, I would love to come back more. When I do come back, I just love hanging out with Run Forest Run crew and Marcus Forrest. He's got an amazing group, but what I really love most is that guy, like, he's really personable. He loves what he does. He loves his athletes. His philosophies, he's learnt from the best. He's learnt from the Brett Suttons. His training theories are so aligned with me and Siri, and I honestly would not come and coach with him if I didn't think that that was the case. So I keep him up with him on social media. I see what he's doing. I see his theories behind big gear work, strength work, sports specific work, his swim styles. The guys, you know, he's a genius. And if you're on the Gold Coast, I'm not here anymore. I'd be plugging myself to come be coached by me. But I'm going to say you should definitely be going to the Run Forest Run group, you guys. He's become quite a name here on the Gold Coast, and just really aligned with what Siri and I believe will get you to your best results in the sport of triathlon. So there you go, Marcus Forrest. You're a legend, and happy to support any way I can when I'm home.